hello, good evening. It's JoJo, Jazzy, Steven. And oh, this Shontel, bacon number 3, she beaming. See, this the famo, we tighten it like some camo. We conquer all our battles, point to contra like some ammo. Just me and my fam. Just me and my fam. Just me and my fam. Just me and my fam.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back to the McDermott Way.
Wow, that was beautiful, baby. Alright, today we are going to do the 10 things to consider when you're in a blended family. As you guys know, I have 2 children from a previous relationship.
Yeah.
She has none, soon to have 1. We're about to have a baby in April. Very excited about that. So we're just here to go through 10 things to consider. So we're gonna bang through them. Give you some advice, talk about having a blended family,
yeah,
what it's all about, so I hope you enjoy. Blended families,
yeah.
Where do we begin?
I don't know. There's so much that goes into blended family.
First one could be with us specifically, coming from different backgrounds and cultures.
Yeah.
You're Bayesian, I am Ukrainian, Irish, French Canadian.
Oh, goodness.
What else? I'm a lot of things. I'm white. And my kids are Nigerian, right? Their mother is Nigerian. So
yeah.
We are all coming together from different backgrounds, maybe different beliefs slightly.
Yeah.
Is there differences?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different childhoods.
Different childhoods,
Sure.
different parenting styles from our parents. So we're kind of intermingling all these different things and kind of coexisting as one. And as far as we're concerned, we're doing well at it. I think so.
I hope so.
It's never really been an issue on our part. There's a lot of blended families out there that really don't have to, their dynamic isn't like ours, so ours is much different, right? All right, so second thing to consider is understanding as the parent who isn't the biological parent in the situation.
Yeah.
You're kind of, not immediately, but eventually you're kind of stepping into that role.
How I feel about it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially navigating like the boundaries between myself and their children.
Right.
Is harder because the way that they operate is different than the way that I would like to sometimes operate.
Of course, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just different. A difference in parenting styles, I
Yeah.
guess. But in terms of taking on that role, it's definitely overwhelming, to be honest, at 23.
Yep. So that's just an
of like
added
a
factor with the
13-year-old and a 9-year-old. Like they're already, they're older, so they have their own thoughts and opinions on things. And so they don't have to like me.
No.
They don't have to listen to me.
Nope.
I
Well, they
mean,
should, but I
would
guess
like them to
it's
sometimes.
tough, right? Yeah.
But that, I'm not gonna force that on them either. Because it's not worth jeopardizing any type of relationship that I have with them.
And if there's anything that needs to be addressed as far as on my part, I'm more than willing to address it as far as parenting and what she thinks and what I think. Because like I said, we are about to have a baby in a couple months. So, you know, we have to be on the same page. If family is a unit, whether it's blended or biological, and we all have to kind of come to an understanding of how the family is going to be run, you know, what we want to see in this family. And yeah, it could be different, but we have to come to, you know, not a compromise, but a common understanding and meet somewhere in the middle and yeah, make sure everybody is happy.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, next thing to consider in a blended family is just the adjustments. You have to look at it from both ends, right? You have to look at, yes, you're adjusting, I'm adjusting too actually, but you also have to really consider the kids are probably adjusting the most.
Yeah.
It's, you know, those are some like major years for the kids, especially if they're very young and they're very impressionable and a lot of things could affect them. So you really have to take into account that the kids are probably the most important thing. If it's if it's really not for you, you know, it's probably something you shouldn't entertain if you're not really willing to take on that big step. And as far as for me, I have to adjust. I've noticed I've adjusted a lot, especially since living together and deciding to have a child and all those type of things, and eventually getting married and stuff like that. It's a different dynamic for me. I'm used to being solo, you know, the last couple years with my kids, we operate a certain way, you know what I mean? And now it's totally different. Like I was telling you before.
There's two people.
Yeah, it's different. Like I'm spending time with you in the home, and I'm spending time with them, and I'm trying to find a way to make us all coexist and be happy. Sometimes, you know, it can be difficult to share your time a little bit more, especially when you're used to being a single father for a couple years. But I feel like we've really done a good job of making sure they feel included. You always feel included.
All of our time with them.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time with them. I can't even front. Like, we're very close.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a good dynamic. And actually, when you do need a break, because it's pretty overwhelming at times, I have gotten to the point where I acknowledge that. I could see it without you even saying anything. And I kind of will take the kids out for the day, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll make sure that you get that break because it's needed. I know you've taken on that role and that's what is expected, but I can't always, you know, expect it like every day, you know what I mean? It takes some time, and we're still getting used to it.
Especially being pregnant, it's a little hard.
Yeah, and that's why I really take things into consideration now.
Little Jordan's a rambunctious child sometimes, and I'm exhausted.
We love Jordan. She's very entertaining, but even for me, like, she tires me out. You know? She's a lot of fun when the fun is needed, but there's sometimes where you're like, oh, Lord, I just need a little break.
She's good.
Yeah,
but
we love them both.
Sometimes a girl be exhausted throughout the day.
That's another thing to consider if you're entertaining a blended family. All right, next thing to consider in a blended family is how you are introducing the kids and introducing your new girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing it? For me,
because you don't want to do it too fast.
No, you don't want to do it too fast, but you also don't want to do it too slow. In my opinion, I've always said that. You don't want to do it too quick because it might not work out. It's a shock. The kids really, like we said prior, they have to adjust. But also, if you wait too long, it could be a problem, because if it doesn't work out when you finally do it, you're kind of disappointing yourself, wasting a lot of time. You put the kids through something you didn't really, you know, need to. So you gotta find a happy medium in between somewhere.
Like, you have to make sure that this is, like, you two have to make sure that you're gonna be together, because you have kids involved. And sometimes they don't understand certain things, so to skip their trauma, just make sure you got it figured out before. Obviously sometimes things just don't work out, but you don't want to introduce them today and then tomorrow y'all are just done. That's so traumatic.
Definitely got to make sure that you are confident about that decision. But like I said, you don't want to wait too long either, because, you know, time is precious and you might just be wasting your time in a relationship. But my kids didn't really take to Shontel. You know, it wouldn't work. You know what I mean? As much as I love her and I want to be in a relationship with her, it really wouldn't work. It would definitely bring a divide and a lot of issues. So you really got to take that into consideration. All right, next thing, really not just to consider, but to take into consideration if you've been through it, for me personally, is kind of looking back into your past. I come from a blended family, and I have experienced some of the not so great sides of it. I had a brother who had two other brothers, and my quote-unquote stepdad, and I kind of always felt like the one that was left out. I was the...
Like Cinderella.
Yeah, I was the only non-biological kid, so a lot of times I felt like I was getting the short end of the stick.
Which you probably were.
I probably was, you know. But that brings us to, you know, you just have to consider each child and try to make them all feel just as special, needed, wanted, all that stuff. Because you don't want one kid to experience that. I definitely experienced that. It was not fun at the time. Luckily, I didn't have to go through it for too long, but that's something to consider, right? So if you have a bunch of kids, let's say you had a bunch of kids, I had a bunch of kids, we have to make sure, like, we're not playing favorites too much.
But that's hard.
It is hard.
If I was bringing my children into the mix too, obviously the love that I have for my child and the love that you have for your children, or like the love that I have for my child and then the love that I have for your children is different. And same.
See, for me, I'm more so not just talking about the love, I'm talking about specific things.
Like
and there's like little things that could matter. For me, my stepfather always put more time into his own children. Let's say we were out learning how to ride a bike. This is a good example. Learning how to ride a bike. We were all kind of similar in ages. We weren't that far off. I was kind of the one that had to wait my turn the longest.
Yeah, see, that's wrong.
And kind of got shoved like, let's make sure they know how to ride the bike first. Oh, well, now we'll get to Steven finally.
Okay, yeah,
and no matter what the situation was, whether we were playing a sport or doing something, I was kind of always the one who was just like, ugh, okay, now I gotta teach him too, just to make things. So he probably mentally wasn't fully there to be a blended parent in a relationship like that. And I had to suffer it just a little bit. It's all good. But what can you do? That's life, right?
No,
so,
that's wrong.
But it's something I learned from. So now moving forward, obviously, you know, with my kids and their mother, it didn't work out. This time around, I've learned a lot from both aspects, living it, like me being a part of that relationship and me being a child in it. So now that's why I want things to work out so much, and I work on my relationship and make sure she's happy, kid's happy, and everyone is coexisting. And
because I'll be honest, now that we're having a child, I just don't want, I don't know if you want to keep this, but I don't want you, especially because he's a boy, to favor him in any way.
No.
And put him first in any way before your daughter.
And he's a lot younger, like they're going to be spaced
Obviously,
out.
There's certain things that, like, because he's a baby, like, you have to put first. But in terms of, like you said, like, the way you treat them, moving forward, it needs to be equal.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And my kids are going to be very spaced out in age. Jordan's going to turn 10.
That's true. They're
and
older.
He's going to be like
a
newborn. So it's 10 years. Jasmine's going to be 13, 14 year difference. So it's different. It's a big deal there. So, but obviously there's going to be baby things I have to attend to and stuff he needs to learn. But my kids, obviously they're continuously learning as well. But it's just different ends of the spectrum. Keep that into consideration.
So you just have to make sure that they're on the same level.
Yeah. Next one, we'll do this quickly because we've addressed this before, but calling stepmom, stepdad.
Stepdad?
Well, no, we're talking in general. We're not just talking about us. We're talking in general. Okay, we're helping them out. If they call you stepmom, stepdad, I think that kind of just goes with what you're comfortable with, your relationship, how you view the kids, how they view you. There's so many factors. The ages, when you came into the life. If you came into the life when those kids were like 2, 3, and you were there when they're at their high school graduation, obviously that's a lot different than our situation. So it's hard to.
I think you're like mom at that point.
Yeah, it's hard to give advice.
But for us, they don't even seem comfortable calling me stepmom, so I wouldn't want them to.
That's super weird. I even find it weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just depends on, you know, what you guys are comfortable with.
Yeah.
All right, next thing to consider, and this one kind of ties into other questions, but obviously, you know, you'd be fooling yourself if you are lying to yourself if you say your love or relationship is always going to be exact same, depending on the situation, of course. I'm not speaking for everyone. With biological children and stepchildren. So obviously the relationship is going to be different.
I think biologically the relationships are different.
Yeah, it's just different. There's really
just biologic.
Yeah. Yeah. Just no way around it.
Wait, no. Different. It's not genetics? I don't know what it is.
We ain't trying to get all scientific.
Biology, that's what it is.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you giving birth to a child, being there from day one is going to be a lot different than coming into the life of a 13, almost a teenager at the time. It's going to be totally different. There's nothing wrong with that, but just like we previously said, as long as the love is there, the respect, and you're in their lives and making an effort, it's not a big deal. It's just something to consider.
Yeah.
All right, this next one to consider is kind of geared towards me. I could be geared towards you too, is picking the right partner. For me, it was picking the right woman to introduce to my kids, to have into their life. I was very comfortable when we did. I kind of just dropped it. I just dropped that bomb out of nowhere. You weren't really expecting it, but I feel like I was ready to take that next step. I was more serious about the relationship. I knew this was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with at that point.
Even though you didn't say I love you?
Yeah, I know, eh? I hadn't said I loved you yet, but I knew I wanted to be with her. That's kind of crazy. But that's a whole different thing.
That's our relationship's weird.
Check our first time. If it's not posted yet, it will be posted and you will get that story.
Yeah.
But yeah, where was I? You made me lose my train of thought here, but picking the right partner is important, obviously. That's, you know,
I think it's important, blended family or not, it's important.
It's important because having kids is a very serious thing, and you don't want to...
You need to pick your children's parent wisely.
Right.
Because there's a lot of different types of people out there, and
Of
you
course.
need to do your best. Obviously, sometimes people don't show the true them, but you need to do your best to find that right person.
Yeah. And for me, I am proud that this is the person that is in my kids' lives, because she brings a lot of value, you know, a lot of intelligence,
Thanks.
a lot of love, a lot of fun, and she's just a very kind person. And this is the type of person that I want my kids to look up to as a role model. If they're not looking up to her as stepmom, they're definitely looking at what she's doing, how she interacts with others, what she does with her life, and it's definitely a good role model. You know what I mean? So I think I picked wisely and well. I've been told, my grandparents have told me, you did well, Steven. My kids have told me, maybe not by saying words, but just by in their actions. So I'm very happy with my decision. So,
And me too. I'm happy that our child has you as their father.
and I'm happy too. I can't wait for them. I'm excited. All right, next thing to consider when you're in a new relationship, you should already be considering this, how to create a healthy relationship, co-parenting. Well, I guess while you're in a new relationship. So it could turn
With
different.
your ex?
Well, yeah, because like you have your, you know, you're broken up from your kids'
But you
mother,
guys were parenting
right?
together.
And, yeah, and you're already co-parenting. But when a new spouse comes into the picture, you have a lot more to consider, right? So now you have, your dynamic might change. What you want to do might change. Like what I was doing before I met you, just being solo dad, you know what I mean, at my condo with my kids, just hanging out. Like it's completely different now. So things might arise, and you just have to find a way to kind of keep everybody happy, not step on anyone's toes. You know, you don't want to be having arguments and bringing drama into your own relationship. Like, I don't want our relationship to be affected by
parenting.
Like things like that.
Just needs to be a balance of both styles, I think.
Exactly. And
you have to figure that out too.
Of course. And you learn all this on the way, and you have to respect the other parent in the situation. You know what I mean? So
because you're a team. It's parents versus kids. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah,
but you're a team, so you want to make sure it's consistent.
There you go. Consistency is key. There you go. All right, next thing and last thing to consider is making sure, even though you're a blended family and you're trying to be one and be together all the time, well, you probably shouldn't be together all the time, actually. You need alone time as a couple to sustain that relationship, to keep each other happy. You know, I love hanging out with the kids, you know, and doing all the fun kiddie stuff, but if you're not focusing on your relationship as well and giving time to your significant other, then the relationship, you know, could be
the relationship
compromised.
I think comes first, because without that, without this, everything else just,
and I always say that too. A lot of people say,
apart.
oh, kids come first.
They do.
Yes, they do, essentially. But the relationship is just as important.
It's a
because
foundation.
without that foundation, everything crumbles. If we have a home and we're together with our children and they're all together, the new baby, my two girls, and our relationship is affected and crumbles, then where am I? I'm back to square one. We're starting all over again. And there's, you know, that's not what we want.
No.
We want to make this work. So having alone time, even if it's, a date night once or twice a month at minimum. Once a week would be nice, but I guess that's not realistic for everyone.
No.
But having time together, I think that's very important.
Yeah, you just
to
gotta
keep the
make
relationship strong.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that the relationship is going to succeed, and the ways of doing that is the date nights and just time alone, and making sure that like you both are good.
Keep the flame alive.
Is our flame alive?
Oh, it's burning, baby. So that is our 10 things to consider in a blended family. We hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe.
Hit that notification.
Yes, don't miss any videos. We have a lot to come, a lot of fun, surprising things, exciting things.
Comment down below if
you're in a blended family or you have any experiences in that, or just throw in your 2 cents on what you think. What are some other key points. We went
That
through
we should
10.
know.
I'm sure there's tons.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a lot. So drop those in the comments. Let's, you know, get some conversation on the topic, and maybe we can all, you know, get some ideas and learn from it.
Yeah.
All right. So
That's it.
until next time, we will see you guys.
Bye.